I love stories. People ask me questions, and I usually preface my answer with a story. And sometimes the question is not quite right, so a story is really all they need. And I leave it at that. I also study stories and hope to make a living off of teaching how to read and listen to them. And if there's anything that life has schooled me in, it is that 1, we do not know everything. 2, wisdom is invaluable. And 3, there is a right and wrong way to ask questions. Meaning, I should ask because I want to know, and not because I want confirmation of what I think I already know. A year ago, a man came from Senegal to visit New York City. He's a scholar. He invited others to visit him should they want spiritual counsel. I was curious, so I went the first time to see if I could trust him, and the second and third time with a list of questions. After asking many questions about the soul and other spiritual matters, I asked him the questions that were really nagging me. Marriage is complicated. How can I be a better spouse? And secondly, is it really even possible or even necessary to please your in-laws? So the sheikh laughed, and then he offered me this story which his father once told him. A woman once approached a sheikh and asked him a similar question. How can I strengthen the love in my marriage? And so the sheikh told her, I'll give you an answer, but first you have to bring me tiger's milk. So this woman was determined, and she left for the forest, where she found a tiger suckling her young. She observed the tiger for days and realized it was weak and hungry. And then she offered the tiger some fresh meat to eat. The tiger then allowed this woman to milk her. When she returned to the sheikh with a bowl of tiger's milk, he was shocked. She pressed him, "Can you now tell me the secret?" And he told her, "Your journey to and from the tiger is the secret." After having finished the story, the teacher I was sitting with looked at me. "Do you understand, Sahar? You must be like this woman." "Oh, I have to feed my husband meat?" The sheikh laughed again, realizing that the point he was trying to make went over my head. And he said, "No, you have to be patient, intelligent, brave, like this woman. And so with all other matters of extended family, it requires brilliant politics." Politics. But I don't understand politics. How am I supposed to ever learn politics? And he said what a lot of wise people have told me and reminded me that I can only learn this from Madrasatul Hayat, the school of life. And 2, if I need to know anything about life, I could probably ask my mother. But back to the school of life. Why am I sharing this story? Well, it's a beautiful story, which was completely lost on me, an inexperienced woman in the world of marital politics. When I shared the story with my mother, she understood the point, which passed over my head because she had lived long enough. Which brings me to the point I'd like to address for the rest of this talk, that the school of life can only be instructive inasmuch as we consider that every moment we experience and every single person we meet is invaluable, like every breath that we take. We have to consider that every single person contains within them thousands and thousands of stories and experiences, and that it's impossible for as much academic analysis or media analysis that we consume of a human being or an entire human community for that analysis to contain the complexity of a single life. I'm not saying that we have to like everyone. I'm not even saying that we shouldn't use our judgment. In fact, we have to, as a survival strategy. I'm only saying that if we are committed, personally committed to being just human beings, or just being good people, that we have to accept and admit that there is the possibility that we could be wrong, and that whatever we see of a person may be just a few expressions of the many secrets her heart carries. Being able to say, "I don't know," in the school of life is invaluable because, one, it opens the doors to many possibilities. And although it might lead us to disappointment of people we believe to be our heroes, it also might lead us to becoming pleasantly surprised by the kindness and humanity of those we believe to be villains. In the school of life, sharing stories is also extremely powerful. And the truth is that even true stories, told in particular ways or in particular contexts, can behave like a fiction. More simply, popularized stereotypes operate a lot like community gossip, only on a larger and better funded scale. Like community gossip, popular stereotypes create a lens through which we view the subject of gossip. It can destroy any concept that we have of a common humanity. It can distort our perceptions so much that we don't even hear the words that a person says, let alone give us the ability to give them a charitable interpretation. So here's another story. A few months ago, I went to this fundraising dinner with my parents. I was sitting at a table next to this beautiful young woman. I noticed from her comments that she had some issues with the religious practice of some of the organizers. As one of the speakers continued to talk about his project, I continued to think about what was for dinner. So I whispered to this woman, "You know, I really hope they have butter chicken." Then she quickly responded, oh yeah, they're definitely going to have Islamic literature. I considered for a moment whether the thoughts that I was thinking actually came out through my words. I considered for a moment that perhaps the speech function in my brain malfunctioned. I considered even for a moment that perhaps, as I said, butter chicken, that she momentarily turned her head to blur the sound waves coming from my voice. Who was I kidding? My mother and I were wearing headscarves. We looked religious. And I couldn't be so sure about the stories that she's heard or that she was drawing from. So I didn't let it go. I said, I hope they have butter chicken because this restaurant is known for their butter chicken. After enunciating every syllable, she seemed relieved. Stories tucked away in the privacy of our imaginations have such a power. They have the power to destroy. And like I mentioned, the power to destroy any conception of a common humanity. It's happened before. It happened during the Inquisition and the exile of Muslims and Jews from Spain. It happened during World War II and the internment of Japanese Americans on U.S. soil. It happens every single day when a young black man is racially profiled by law enforcement. After 9/11, my university president invited the Muslim students on campus for a meeting. She wanted to assure us that the university was there for us should we experience discrimination by faculty, staff, and other students. I took my father to that meeting and introduced him to some of the colleagues that were there and administrators. About a year later, a woman who was there, who I later became very good friends with, confessed to me something. She said, "You know, at that meeting, when I first met your father, I was incredibly rude to him, and I purposely ignored him when he introduced himself." Why? She was infuriated by the idea that he was forcing me to dress the way I did. It was only after we had become friends that she could recognize her mistake and befriend my father and learn that perhaps he might be the gentlest soul that she's ever met. But how could she know if she didn't ask the right questions? And how can any of us know if we don't open ourselves to new experiences and compassionate encounters with strangers? And this is the school of life. It just happens. And when it happens, there are things that we've heard so many times that just make sense. So I'll share one last story to illustrate this point. All my life, I heard that even a smile is charity, and that no one smiles more than the best of creation, so we should offer our smiles as much as we can. And as beautiful as this idea is, and as often as I heard it from my parents and my teachers, I really didn't understand it, although I thought I did, until 2 years ago. I didn't understand it because for me, smiling was like a reflex. And how can something of service be so effortless? I was the baby that strangers photographed in the parks. I was the student who won Best Personality senior year of high school. I was the girl who veiled her face through college and was still known for being smiley because of the ways my eyes wrinkled. In March 2011, I had a biopsy done in my jaw. And on the way from the subway to the nearest Duane Reade, the anesthesia began to wear off, and pain shot through my cheeks and spread through my face. I realized at that moment it was the first time in my life I couldn't smile, physically, even if I tried. The pharmacist looked at me expressionless. It was at that moment that I realized I began all my communication with a smile, and that I wished I could smile because she would smile back, and that would comfort me, and we can continue our human interaction. It was only after she read the prescription in her hand she offered me an apologetic smile. I then went to the cashier. I paid him. He didn't smile, nor did I. I couldn't. From the 2 blocks between the pharmacy to my apartment, the world looked grim. No one was smiling. And I realized that all my life, people were my mirrors, and they reflected what they saw. And at that point, the world looked so grim. I only wanted to smile to make everyone smile again. And it was only then I realized what a wonderful gift someone's smile could be. Passing through the school of life allows us to understand things that we might have never considered before, or illuminates things we thought we understood, but now understand better. It's passing through the school of life that allows many of our elders to be far more compassionate when we make mistakes. And it's passing through the school of life that allows us to understand the subtleties and the complexities in human relationships. It is in the school of life that of all the types of human beings you could meet, the brilliant theorist, the wise statesman, the brave activist, the radiant socialite, that the honest, kind, and sincere human being is the most beautiful and rare of all. Thank you.